My name is Aakrati, and thank you, Shing, for introducing me earlier. I'm an engineer on Databricks' machine learning platform team, and I'm here today to talk about feature and function serving in the Lakehouse. Cool. So, all right. So let's forget for a second that I work at Databricks, and let's think that I am building a traditional hotel booking website. So what most likely, like my website is built on top of a web application that takes in users' city of interest, some booking dates, performs a personalized search on top of it, and does some machine learning ranking on it. It's pretty good, but it cannot answer like all of users' questions. So that's why in today's presentation, we'll look at how we can build a personalized chatbot for my hotel booking website by using a large language model. And we'll also see how we can leverage the enterprise data that can make the LLM chatbot very powerful with the personalized context. So we learned a lot about LLMs today, and this is the last talk, so I'll not take too long, I promise. But LLMs are extremely good, right? Like, they are very good at understanding human language, their intent, and most common use cases that we have seen are answering questions and generating texts. So we also know that there's a lot of research that's done on vector databases that can provide approximate information for the LLMs. However, we can make LLMs even more powerful, and even more performant using by retrieving personalized and giving it personalized context information. So that's what I want to talk about today. But before we do that, let's take an example of what an interaction with a generic chatbot would look like. So my chatbot uses here, I used an out-of-box OpenAI model, and then I asked it to create a 7-day vacation plan for a user on my website. User wanted to travel to Amalfi Coast in September. I didn't do any additional fine-tuning or didn't provide any additional context. Chatbot was good. It was able to understand, first, that user is planning a vacation, and then second, that user needs to book some flights and accommodation. Good. But it doesn't know a lot of things, right? It doesn't know that anything about my user, literally. And what kind of vacation do they generally book? What is their typical budget? What accommodation they like. Do they like beach-facing rooms? So that is all information that is missing. And this is exactly what the enterprise data in my Lakehouse has. So we'll look at how my Lakehouse can provide all that information in a personalized context. So, all right. So my Databricks Lakehouse already has this enterprise data from my website. Databricks has recently launched this functionality to serve any business data and functions at a very low latency in a real-time endpoint. It's called feature and function serving. And all I need to do is store my business data in the Lakehouse and serve it using one of these real-time endpoints. By the way, if you are using model serving, you already have all of this functionality integrated for you. So let's see. I have all my data. I have my feature function serving endpoint. Let's see how I can use it in a real-time LLM application. So remember, we were booking a hotel booking chatbot. So this hotel booking chatbot has my user data, which is users' budget, some hotel data, such as hotels availability and discounts. So we will serve all of this data using a feature and function serving endpoint, and then use it in the LLMs to provide personalized context. Let's see how this workflow would look like for my website. So when a user asks AI bot to create a travel plan for them, there are many things that my Lakehouse already knows. First, what do I know about the user? I know that the user has a budget and some preferences, like they might like a quiet place, or they might like a downtowny place. They might like a beach-facing room, for example. Then From this information, I can do a top case search based on their preferences. And then I can use a feature serving endpoint to get real-time availability and prices for their preferred hotels. Finally, I can do on-demand calculation of the hotel price for vacation. So using any custom code that user can create within the Lakehouse. So I think we talked about all the awesome functionality. So let's see some of it in action. To remind you, earlier we saw an example of a generic chatbot that could understand the user intent, but didn't know anything about the user. And it was asking, hey, can you tell me about who the user is, et cetera. So now we will use a feature and function serving endpoint to provide some of that context information. And we'll create some tools in LangChain, which are basically helper functions, if you haven't used them before, that takes some input and produces some output that is used by an AI chatbot. So let's see the example here. OK, let me. OK. All right. Cool. All right. So let's define this tool that is using a feature and function serving. My function serving is called, it's called user budget preference, and it is calling one of Databricks' endpoint. I'm providing it some token, some authentication, et cetera, and then I'm finally making a REST endpoint request. Similarly, I'm also defining a tool to retrieve hotels from the vector search. And then finally, I'm defining a tool to fetch prices and do some on-demand calculations. So let's set up an agent here. Let's see what's here. So as I earlier promised you, we are using all these tools, which we just defined a few seconds ago. The user budget preference tool, the hotel retrieval tool, and the total price tool. And then finally, we are initializing the agent with the tools that we just defined, and using the same generic chatbot that wasn't able to give us a very useful answer earlier. So from this AI chatbot, we are also providing a prompt message that basically tells the chatbot as to provide some hints to the chatbot as to where it should go and fetch the information from the tools that we had defined earlier. So I'm telling it to basically fetch some budget preferences, et cetera. The agent can make decisions. So agent can basically make decision of when to use which tool when it is asked the question. And then it will provide all the input that the tool needs, and then it will use the tool's output to take next decision as to what to do. So all right, enough talking. Let's call the AI bot and ask it the same question that we asked the generic chatbot earlier, which was to plan a 7-day vacation to Amalfi Coast around September for my user ID. Before I get into the details here, I want to show this is the output that it produced. It told me that there are some 4 great hotels that fit my budget from September 1st to September 8th. It told me that I should probably go book Hotel Miralfi, et cetera, and then it asked me for any further questions. So let's dive into how it really did that. Oops. All right. Let me go back. All right. We use 2-factor authentication. We are secure. All right. Cool. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. This is basically my chatbot in detail. It's basically first, so the agent is making decision to call the budget server tool first. It called the budget server. It got the observation here, which is my daily budget for this particular user is $700. Then it did a vector search and found out some 4 hotel IDs that were really ideal for my user's preferences. And then It basically called the hotel total price feature and function serving endpoint and got the hotel, all the hotel information that it finally displayed to us. So this is pretty powerful, right? So finally, I think, as I promised, I'll not take too much. As we saw, like Databricks, Lakehouse plus LLMs is really, really powerful. Using feature and function serving, I was able to seamlessly deliver the personalized context from my enterprise data to the LLM that I was using, which was a completely generic, non-fine-tuned LLM here. And I was able to run on-demand custom code that I had defined in the Lakehouse at low latency in a real-time endpoint. So that could have like trade secrets, for example, for my website. And then finally, we used enterprise-level security behind these endpoints because all of this is governed in the Unity catalog. So I would only share the information to the caller that the user should have information for. Thank you. Thank you all for your time.